Welcome to Waves of Wisdom. In this episode, I'm going to have a chat with Dr. Rawan Hassan, all the way from Egypt, who resides in UK, who have got educated in UK in psychology and mindfulness practices, and she's a great advocate of well-being. Welcome to the show, Dr. Rawan.
Thank you so much, Iyaz. It's such a pleasure to be here.
We are recording this in Maldives at the first resort. How was your stay in Kuruma, Maldives?
It has been such a dream. I feel very blessed to be able to experience the first resort of the Maldives on my first trip to the Maldives as well. So very, very grateful for the opportunity to be here.
Wonderful. Welcome to Maldives. It's always a pleasure to host people from other countries in Maldives.
Of course.
So hospitality is the main industry in Maldives. So let's get into our conversation.
Yes.
So how was your childhood? When did you move from, you were born at Egypt, right?
Yes.
You were born in Egypt and then later you moved to a few other countries.
Yes.
Just can you tell a little bit about your background?
Yeah, of course. So I am born into an Egyptian family. I was born in Egypt, so born on African soil, but never actually lived in Egypt as a child. We moved around quite a lot with my father's work. So we're based in Saudi Arabia for a little while, and then the majority of my childhood was in Cyprus. Beautiful island in the Mediterranean. And I've had the beautiful opportunity to move around quite a bit. So from experiencing places like Italy to Indonesia to the UK, I've really gotten used to not having this permanent sense of this is what I really call home as a physical entity.
Wonderful.
And with that comes different perspectives.
I guess you are from the nomadic era.
Yeah, you can say so.
So, Dr. Ron, how did you get interested, or what made you interested to pursue psychology as a field of study?
Yeah. So this actually goes way back, and not many people know this story. It's something very sentimental. So, as the eldest of 4 children, for the longest time, it was just myself as the only girl. Okay. So I had 2 brothers after me. I had like 10 male cousins. And I felt that there was this lack of being able to express freely as perhaps sisters do. And the boys were more so interested in playing with the action men or the cars or the football, all of stuff which I could do, by the way. But I created this imaginary game. And, you know, back then we had our imagination, not the iPads. Yeah. And I called it Loveland. And Loveland was a place that you could access in your mind. Mm-hmm. But together with my brothers, I would give them a piece of paper. It was the ticket to go to Loveland. Okay. And you could talk about anything that you could not see. So it could be your dreams. It could be a thought that you had. It could be a feeling that you were experiencing. And in some ways, you might say I was doing the psychology work from young. It was just something that I was always called towards and called to do. And something that just came to me very, very naturally. So that's where the interest in the mind and how the soul experiences this reality really started.
Wonderful. And thanks for being so vulnerable and open about your childhood experiences. I'm sure, Spirdi, I also have observed this in young children, Spirdi, even my kids.
Yeah.
They have this imaginary world, and I guess it's a kind of matrix which you have created for yourself.
Yeah.
How was that experience as a child led you to explore your mind?
I mean, I'll try to respond in a way that is, reflective of what my thinking was back then and not in retrospect. I think for me, especially back then, it was about creating a sense of space.
Mm-hmm.
So, there could be times where I would be feeling a very overwhelming, sensation.
Yeah.
As someone who is quite sensitive, in terms of to the world around me or to stimulus. And I just knew that I could always go to Loveland and unpack that in a way that is
So it's
safe.
kind of your safe space.
Exactly.
Okay.
Literally all about safety. And that you're free to choose another perspective.
Yeah.
That the thing that you're thinking about or the thing that you're feeling in that moment, as much as it is real, it may not actually be the full picture of the reality that you're experiencing. And so in some ways, that was a way to be able to step back
Mm-hmm.
and to just find a sense of space in between whatever it was that was happening. As time progressed, of course, it was more serious matters and not, these childish or some of the scenarios that we experience as children around games or toys, but in the moment feels very real.
Yeah.
So it was all around creating a sense of space, a moment to just step back and really zoom out, really see what is at hand.
Do you still have this Loveland where you can go back times whenever you want?
I do. I have multiple Lovelands now, I would say.
Because now you are more aware, right? Okay, yeah. So, how was your college days, university days? Did you envisage a kind of career which you have now back then?
Yeah. No, the short answer is no, I did not.
Mm-hmm.
To begin with, I wanted to go into arts and architecture, and I tried to almost like avoid this, I will call it what it is, a gift, being able to tap into the human experience within myself, but also with others. And I wanted so much to deny this part of me. Everybody in my family, extended family, used to always say, Dr. Rawan Hassan, the psychologist, from when I was this small.
Wonderful.
So, and even having elders like my grandmother, her siblings, sitting with me and talking and saying, you're so wise, you're so small, but you're so wise. And I just wanted to abandon that. Like, no, I'm going to become the creative artist that has nothing to do with wisdom or how to navigate life. So I resisted it. To give a short answer first, I resisted it. I did not envision it in that way. And I actually did pursue architecture for a year. And I hated it.
Okay.
It was not in my calling. I felt like I was very much forcing it in a specific direction. And that I wanted to prove to people that I could be whatever I wanted to put my mind to. But the reality was I was not satisfied. I was not content. And I felt that I was moving into a space of trying to prove something instead of being present with life. And so I went back to my calling, and I pursued a career in psychology. And I was more so interested in policy. So I worked in different NGOs. I worked part of the UN as well, delivering some psychosocial projects for refugees, children in protracted crises. And things evolved, and wellness was still the main part of my journey. And now I'm very, very fortunate to be able to bring it into businesses, into organizations, individuals, and societies and communities that need it.
It's a wonderful job you are doing in that area. I can see that. Back to what you mentioned about what your grandparents and your parents used to say when you were a child, that Dr. Rawan Hassan, the psychologist, was that branding or that that expression of or their expectations led in any way to brainwash you or to for you to feel that this is something I have to? Was it a pressure or anything like that? Yeah.
It's a very valid question to contemplate on. correct me if this is also the same in Maldivian culture, but in African culture or the community that I grew up in, there was like a pressure to, you're either going to become a lawyer, an engineer, or a doctor. Like those were the esteemed titles.
I think in Maldives also there were a few as we progress, because our higher education started only in last few couple of decades compared to Egypt, which has been I think from many centuries. Right?
Yeah.
So even our first batch of highly educated people actually studied in Egypt.
In Egypt as well.
So there's a lot of connection between Egypt and Maldives in that sense as well. So given what the knowledge and experience you have in psychology now, you think it is a good idea to actually label or brand children from childhood and so that they will follow their expectation, or is it better to keep their minds open rather than labeling them in any area or anything like that from childhood?
I mean, there's pros and cons to both.
Yeah.
My personal opinion on the matter is recognize what gifts or strengths your child has, and celebrate that.
Okay.
But don't shy away from other areas. So, have you got children of your own, for example?
Yeah, I have two daughters.
2 daughters. What do they enjoy, or what are they? What do you view in them?
This is one question I want to ask.
Yeah.
How can I actually figure out their strengths? And this is one thing I always wonder. So I am very curiously observing them now.
Yeah.
So I think my elder daughter is more into creative art and like you mentioned, and of course now at this era, Gen Alphas like to do everything digital, so definitely digital art or something like that.
Amazing.
I can see her good at that and also interested in that. I guess those two combination is some way which gives me some hints. What do you think?
Yeah, I think that's an excellent starting point, seeing what she's good at and what she also enjoys.
Yeah.
And to that end, I would like to invite this principle of ikigai that you've maybe come across. It's a Japanese term. That looks at finding a sense of fulfillment or self-realization in a way, in its highest capacity. And the sweet spot is when you can merge all these 4 quadrants of what you love. So what is your passion, right? What are you good at? What can, bring sense of funds to your life? So your vocation, and what you're good at doing, right? And then the last one, so you said passion, profession, vocation, and your mission, right? What is your mission for life? And even on the most micro scale, right? What is one thing that your daughter aspires to achieve or aspires to be known for? And again, sometimes we think of the word mission and we think of this ginormous thing, but sometimes the smaller it is, the more easy it is to start. So as her guardian and a safe space that she can bounce ideas with, perhaps exploring those different 4 areas together. One thing my parents did do, and I'm very grateful for that, is we always had the chance to try different things, so different activities. And I was the sort of person that if I didn't like something, I would just tell them I don't want to continue in this. And we try another thing. So from art to basketball, this and that. And it requires a sense of patience from the parent. I'm not a parent myself yet, but I would imagine that there is a sense of patience that has to come in to give some space for the seed to germinate so that then you can see what it is bearing fruits in a way. So I think you're off on a great starting foot, exploring those 2, and perhaps, encouraging your daughter to try out different, whether it be internships or some small placements to see, could I see myself, enjoying this, as a for some time.
Right?
And I think one other thing I would say is with this new generation, there is less of a focus on this is going to be my career for the next 30 years.
Yes.
And that's something that we need to reconcile with as well. And that the way they view the world of work will be different to perhaps how we have known the world of work to be and have experienced the world of work.
Changing every day. I mean, the pace of the world of work change is actually so fast that we cannot even imagine what will bring with all these technologies, AI, augmented reality, and all those things are coming in such a pace that we haven't even thought 5 years back, right?
Yeah.
So you brought a very interesting concept of ikigai, for example. So at what point of your career did you realize that, or what made you realize that this is not for me? Maybe there's something else for me, and you started exploring it. Maybe your mission as a ikigai.
That this is not for me.
You mentioned that you were doing a lot of charity work, and then you were working for UN and few other organizations. And at what point you decided to change and become what you are doing now?
Yeah. So it wasn't necessarily very planned. So if you knew me back then, and if you had come and told me you're going to be working in this specific niche in the next 5 years, I would not have believed you at all. I was very much engrossed in that world and looking at, how do we create resilience, not just in people, but in communities, in systems. And I was very much engrossed in that. But to be honest, I reached a point where I was getting quite burnt out in that environment. And I needed to step back, and I knew that it wasn't the mission. It was the avenue. So hear me out on this one, because some people might have different perspectives to this. But I truly believe that we all have a purpose. You as Iyaz have a mission. I as Rawan have a mission. But that mission can manifest itself in multiple avenues. So just because that route is, it could be it's saturated. It could be it's not giving you back at the same time, because everything is done in exchange. Everything gives and gives back, right? If that avenue is not quite right for you at that moment in time, it doesn't mean that the mission is wrong. It just could be that there's another avenue to explore. So for me, I was applying to different roles at the time, and I had come across this one within a consultancy firm looking to augment their corporate wellness programs, organization wellness programs. And it was something that was very much new at the time. There wasn't much in the market, especially in Africa and the Middle East. And I worked closely with a team of researchers and business analysts to craft this solution, and to be able to bring it forth. And I remember at the time just thinking to not restrict myself, to not be so rigid around, this is what I definitely don't want. This is what I definitely do want. This is what it was really about, okay, take a step back and really observe what is showing up in my life as an invitation to experience a part of me that I haven't experienced before. And in doing that, serving the world in a way that I haven't also done before. So that was the little shift that happened for me.
I think a lot of times whenever I speak to someone, I have observed that people actually like to give back. Then it becomes a purpose for them and a mission, which they can continue doing when they decided to give back to the community. Like you mentioned. So from your experience also, I guess it is when you decided to give back, you found more fulfillment in that, right?
Yeah.
So from your psychology studies and your research, what do you think about how somebody can find their purpose?
Yeah. I would say number one is self-study.
Okay.
So to find your purpose, you need to know who you are.
Understand yourself.
Understand yourself. So studying the self is really about understanding what is it that you are sensitive to. And let's take it a step back. So if we think of organizations as having a mission, right? Oh, I want to do this. I want to achieve this thing in the world. We always think of it as, okay, this is the mission, this is the vision, and then there's the values.
Yeah.
We can do it the other way around. As individuals, what are my values? What is it that if this thing is violated, a part of my core feels like it's not at ease, or that it's broken, or that it's been poked at.
So you're saying value is an important aspect of realizing the passion, right?
Because, and realizing that
somebody's passion cannot be outside their circle of, or their values, right? Because
I would say most times, no. I mean, it can. You might have a passion that is not super related to it, but if you're someone who is starting to explore for anew, or you had an idea of what it was and now you're feeling confused, go back to the values. What is it that is so core for me? And the reason I say values first is because that is your compass in life, regardless of whether it is iyaz at work, iyaz with the family, iyaz with friends, iyaz exploring a new country. There is a sense of resonance with your values. So go back to the values.
So for the benefit of those, I think values are different for different people.
Yeah.
How would you define values? What do you mean by values?
Values are the things that are important for you to experience contentment in your life. So let me give an example. Some of my values are authenticity and integrity.
So in other words, can we say it is something which you will not leave, or you will hold on to no matter what, right?
Yes. And if you are faced with situations where you need to be in complete opposition to the value, you experience a high sense of discomfort. So you're not going to, have a complete breakdown if you're not living within the value system, but you'll feel a constant sense of discomfort. So you want to live a life that is aligned, because the more in alignment you are with yourself, the more in alignment you can be with the mission, the more in line you can be with the purpose. So for me, I look at this word alignment as a really key thing. How can you be in alignment with what is important to you as a person? And sometimes you're not entirely sure. Okay, I don't know what is important. Okay, the basic things: honesty, trust, being kind. Okay, go deeper. Yeah. If something was violated, what is it? Which one would you not tolerate? Because that is part of the very core values for you. And then I would say once you have 3 or 4 main ones, where is it that you can express this value? So authenticity, I can do it every day. I can do it here on the show. I can do it with my family, with my friends. But it's also about shining your light in the world, being authentic, not hiding, not playing small. That is also another expression of authenticity. Authenticity is also sharing your story, and how, in what settings can I do that beyond here. So really finding 2 or 3 settings that value can come to life. Especially ones where you shy away from. The thing that you are avoiding doing is the thing that you need to start with, in a sense.
So in the sense, you talk about an important concept of alignment.
Yes.
So I guess it is about the important thing to find your passion or mission in life is aligning your values with your passion and what you want to do in your life.
Yes.
Your why, right? I think that's a fantastic model. So I might write that in my book, by the way. So where you are at a point now, you are concentrating mainly on wellness, right?
Yes.
Especially in organizations and work environments and things like that. Can you tell a little bit more about the work you are currently doing?
Yes. So I have the honor to be able to work with businesses to reevaluate how they, one, view wellness, and to operationalize it. So too often we think of wellness as an ad hoc thing. It is a way that it is something that we react to. We're not very proactive around how we factor wellness into our business strategy. So I look at wellness in that regard. And I also look at related topics, which are employee experience, engagement, your total employee value proposition. What is it that you are bringing forth into the world as an organization?
Yeah.
So that people can recognize you and find that sense of alignment again of, yes, this is where I want to be and this is where I want to grow. And I want to give back to this organization. So, that is where the world of wellness in the workplace has taken me so far, alongside coaching, for executives and being able to tap into more of the values of yourself, but also the organization to create this aligned, cohesive workforce.
Yeah. Wonderful. I think, this is, last, few years, especially after the COVID pandemic, people have come to realize that wellness and well-being is more important, and health is more important than anything else, right?
Yeah.
So I think we are at what is the new psychological shift you see in organizational psychology now in this respect?
Yeah, you're absolutely right about these changes in the last few years. I think the next few years we'll see more of a shift going towards people focus, especially with the kind of like unsettlement around technology advancements. And is AI coming to to take over? Is it not? Who is at risk? Who is not? There will be more of a centralization on people again. And with that, there will be more of a focus on empathetic leadership. And this is something that we have been talking about for a while now.
But is it a new terminology? Because I haven't heard much about empathetic leadership.
Yeah.
Because I also write in LinkedIn, which I have a news article which goes as growth leadership. Because but all these aspects of leadership, I think whether it is regenerative leadership or what you mentioned, the empathetic leadership, is all a way for personal and organizational growth, right?
Yeah.
How does that, in the context of personal and organizational growth, how important is empathetic leadership?
In the context of growth, right?
Yes.
I would say very. But I just want to touch on one other thing you said, which is this a new term or not? I think the thing with buzzwords is they appear every few seasons as a new character, but it's really and truly the same essence. So back in the day, it used to have a lot around heart-centered leadership and how to be a heart-centered leader, because there was a lot of this distinction between
the heart.
Yeah, are you left-brained or are you right-brained? Are you more in touch with emotions, or are you more in touch with rationalizing?
So what is this empathetic leadership? Is
yeah.
How do you define that?
Yeah. So really and truly, being an empathetic leader is about finding a sense of acceptance and respect and space for views, opinions, feelings that are different to yours.
All right.
And in that container where there is the empathetic bond, you are now able to find clarity on how to move forward. So it's not necessarily always about, okay, no, this is how it's going to be done and this is it. But how can I extend a sense of empathy towards you as Iyaz, not just because of how you're feeling. Sometimes we think of empathy as, put yourself into that person's shoes, right?
Okay.
And we talk a lot around not silver lining somebody's emotions or experiences. But empathetic leadership goes beyond that. It looks at, okay, what is it that this person has experienced that has led them to viewing business context or matters in this way, and showing appreciation for the wisdom and the perspective that you come with towards a
in other words,
angle.
can it be diversity of thinking?
Diversity of thoughts is definitely, definitely a big part of it. And like a sense of appreciative inquiry towards what another person is bringing forth.
All right.
And through that, and in that container, we are able to find synergy on how we move forward, right? It's born through that, container that we create, which has to be a safe container for people to share, authentically.
Wonderful. Dr. Rawan, at the moment, I am writing a book on how not to retire.
How not to retire.
And I find somebody, you as someone who has actually found that sweet spot, which I called the unretirable person, because you have found, I believe that your passion and you have aligned all these things now, which is something you mentioned to me earlier when we met at first. That's something you can carry on doing for the rest of your life, right? So, how would you define as somebody who is unretirable?
How would I define someone unretirable?
Yes.
I don't think I've actively thought about that before. So, fresh thoughts currently is someone who doesn't have a sense of obligation to do something. It is something that is done out of choice or agency. And the thing that comes to mind is running a marathon. Right. So if you don't want to retire or burn out, you want to work smart, but you also want to recover smart. And so this kind of takes me to that, to the field of managing your energy.
All right.
And knowing how to burn for long and not burn out fast.
I think this is a great perspective because actually this will be one of the chapters on my book.
Wow.
How you can continue to be unretirable.
Yeah.
Because sometimes, we have this misunderstanding of today I have found this passion and I can hold on this for forever in my life. But sometimes after a decade or so, you might say, this might not be still that thing.
Yeah.
We might have to. So I think this is perfectly all right. But the most important thing is when we are working at a time, we are working, like you mentioned, managing our energy and focusing and keep focusing on what we are doing right now and also aligning it with our values and
yes.
Yeah. So I think that's a very good perspective, which we can also think about more.
How do you define it currently, being unretirable?
I think the message which I want to give across is find your passion. Once you have identified your passion and your purpose, if you align those two and then continue practicing that, then you don't have to actually retire or work, because a lot of times, because this concept of retirement is something which is started a few centuries back with the industrial age, right?
Yeah.
When people are doing physical labor and something like that. But today we are at a stage that if you keep your mind healthy, I think this again resonates very much with the kind of work which you are doing. if you keep your mind and soul and body
and heart.
and you in alignment,
Yes.
then you can always keep on pursuing what your passion is, and also giving back to the community. And so the concept of like retiring in 65 years or a particular age is, I think, quite outdated now. Because actually going forward, in especially people of generation X and generation Z and Alpha who are going to come, will not pursue career same as, like, I think we touched based on that,
yes,
as baby boomers or generation X, isn't it?
Yes, exactly.
So what is in your area of work? You must have come across so many people who have actually found this sweet spot of aligning their passion and purpose and now continuing it. Do you know any characters like that?
Yes, a few do come to mind. And
yes,
good. Yeah, a few do come to mind, and some have been mentors of mine. Others are people that I have worked with. And to varying degrees, right? So I think what I notice as a commonality across is that there is a sense of trying to bring things into harmony. As humans, when you do something that, you know, brings you enjoyment, brings you a sense of fulfillment, a sense of achievement, we're wired to want to do more of that.
Yes.
On a neurological level, right? So the dopamine that is released, your brain is kind of saying, yes, I want more of this, right? But I've noticed through observing these mentors is that knowing how to not go too close to the edge and kind of like taming yourself and pacing yourself is one of the key characteristics in being able to experience longevity. So that is one key thing that I do see. And another one in all of the characters that come to mind is not being too serious. Yeah, not
just enjoying the ride of life.
Being able to enjoy it, but also being able to we have this proverb in Egyptian Arabic that says, you know, laugh to life, and life will laugh back with you. And it is a sense of there are ups and downs, right? There's highs and lows, but how you perceive what it is that you're experiencing, and how much presence you can hold for those highs and lows really determine your ability to move through life in a way that feels good. On a mental, on a physical,
it's a wonderful level. I think wisdom from Egypt. I think Egypt will have a lot of wisdoms. Can you, before we go into that about wisdoms, can you give one technique or one tool which somebody can use to actually align or live in this harmony? What you just mentioned.
Yeah. Okay. If I were to give you just one tool, command your energy at the beginning of your day.
All right.
So, you know, too often we start our days and we just flow into whatever the energy of the day is. I really invite everybody watching this, everybody listening to this, to take just as little as 5 minutes before they get into any action of the day, and just reflect on what it is that you want to bring into the day and what you want the day to give you as well. And this can be done by writing things down. It can be done just in silence. You might be outdoors, but take a few moments to really breathe and slow yourself down, and focus on the intention of the day. Again, intention commands so much.
Basically setting an intention for the day.
Yes. And checking in with yourself as well, because that is part of it. Knowing that, okay, this is my intention for for the day, but today this is what I am feeling. So how can I show up in a way that honors the intention, but also honors my state?
All right.
So taking that pause, and even if you forget to do it in the morning, when you do remember, even if it is at, 11:47 a.m.,
Yeah.
take a pause, 5 minutes. Okay, return to your center. What is the intention for the day? What is the intention for the day? And what is my state? So being able to check in with yourself.
I think this is an invaluable tip for our listeners as well. So as the theme of this podcast goes, as waves of wisdom, you already given one wisdom from the Egyptian proverbs. Is there any other wisdom which you like to share with our audience?
Just a general theme. Okay, there's so many to choose from.
Okay,
just one. I would say stop hiding. So you, the person who is doubting the gift that they have, I want you to know that that gift was given to you for a reason. And the first reason is because the divine or the universe or however it is that you call this energy has chosen you as a worthy vessel for you to experience the gift. So please open the door to the gift.
All right.
And once you have, please share it. So come out from the hiding spot, from the concealed areas that you're in, step into the light, really embrace that gift, really experience it, and allow that to be expressed through you to the world. And that's what I will leave you with.
Wonderful. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Rawan, for giving so much insight and very valuable tips for our listeners today. And I wish you all the best in the good work you are doing in bringing harmony to the organizations and empathetic leadership which you talk about, and aligning the people's value and purpose and passion. And I think this really resonates with our themes as well. And thank you very much for being on our show, and hope to see you on another occasion.
Thank you so much for having me.
Thank you
so much.
Until we come back next time, don't forget to align your passion and purpose, and try to find that wisdom which Dr. Rawan shared about actually believing in yourself, that your creator has actually given to you, is for you to experience and bring it to the world. And until the next episode, don't forget to be awesome. Thank you.